Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It's the 14th of January. It's 2019. And I am driving through Las Vegas, headed to Hurricane, Utah. I spent way too much time in California and didn't really get all that much accomplished. I met a few people that I wanted to see, and I did. I saw the Pacific Ocean, so there's that. Still didn't see those sequoia trees. While I'm driving, Jason A's newest video just popped up, and it's a lot of news articles, stuff like that. But the gist of it was, a Canadian was telling Justin Trudeau, their prime minister, that he needs to stop letting Islamic people into their country. People that have openly and completely said they want to kill any infidel, any Christian, so forth and so on. Now, if that's not entirely accurate, it is what it is. But the funny thing is all the people in the crowd clap when Trudeau says, we need immigration, we need these people. That's how Canada was built. And all the sheep clap. And it's the same thing in the United States. People have been inundated with the meme that being proud to be white, being proud to be an American is a bad thing. So they tell us that these people in the Middle East just want to kill us. Jihad, 9/11, suicide bombs, so forth and so on. And yet, the people responsible for everything, the people that take all your tax dollars, the people that just make so much money off being a professional politician, are flooding the country intentionally. Because if you have people that come from a completely different culture, that are hostile towards our way of life or whatever, it takes away community. It takes away neighborhoods. I've been driving for 5,000 miles, and you know what's crazy? When I was just a little bit younger, when you were driving, somebody would flash their high beams at you to let you know there was a cop up the road. When you walked into a restaurant, somebody would hold the door open for you. That stuff is really, really hard to come by these days. Nobody cares. If they're driving, they're usually on their phone. Now, I know a lot of people just went, you're on your phone right now. Do you see where I'm looking? My phone isn't in my hands. It's in a tripod attached to my windshield. So there's that. I hooked up with another YouTube channel and did an interview, and that will be up probably tomorrow. And I realized I didn't do a video today, but there's a lot going on. I saw a video last night while I was rolling through the desert in the middle of the night, and I got pulled over by a sheriff right at a border crossing, because I was in SoCal and I was on the Mexican border. And he was the coolest cop ever. He was very, very nervous walking up to the truck because he was positive it was full of heavily armed military guys, because it kind of looks like a military truck. Long story short, he was the nicest guy in the world. We don't have that back home. We don't have that back home. He was happy to be a police officer or a sheriff, and he was happy to help me where I was going after he found out that I was just completely lost. He says I pulled out of the desert into the highway right out in front of him, but I don't remember doing that. But I don't know, whatever. At any rate, how are we gonna stand together when we have 9 out of 10 people, or 9.5 out of 10 people that are completely sound asleep, that just go along to get along? They do what their televisions tell them to do. It doesn't even dawn on them that we got attacked on 9/11, and then after 9/11, we've never had more Middle Eastern, Iraq, Syrian. We've never had more people in this country than we did before that. In a real world, if we were truly attacked by a bunch of radical people from Saudi Arabia, number one, Saudi Arabia wouldn't be one of our allies, and they are. Number two, we wouldn't be flooding the country, flooding the United States with people from the same area that allegedly attacked us. But that's not what happened. It's bullshit. In this truck, I have a CB radio. I have a Verizon cell phone. I have a cell phone booster, the best one you can buy and put in a vehicle, because I am usually way away from civilization. Las Vegas is crazy. I love playing poker too, and I am not stopping. I want nothing to do with it. And even in 2019, it's hard to keep a cell phone signal, even with a cell phone booster. But yet they're telling us back in 2001, people were calling on hijacked planes on their cell phones at 30,000 feet, doing ridiculous speeds in the airplanes, and people believe it. They don't even question. We were attacked by, this is the story, we were attacked by the Middle East, and now the country's flooded with people from the Middle East right afterwards. And if you're Middle Eastern, listen, I'm not saying it was you. I'm saying what the story is. And nobody questions it. Nobody questions it. Those two enormous twin towers went down in 9 and 10 seconds respectively. If you dropped a ball off the top of the twin towers, it would have hit the ground at the same time that the entire twin towers came down. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. I recently met up with a researcher who was pretty well versed in the Bible, but still believed that Nibiru was a real thing. How can you be so deep into the Bible and not understand we live under a firmament? I took video last night in the middle of the desert of stars, constellations, everything else with a P1000. And consistently, over and over, when you zoom all the way in on a star, you can see what it is. It's an entity, it's a being, and it's giving off frequencies, and it's under a liquid or behind a liquid. Separate the waters from the waters, stretching out a firmament, the sun and moon inside the firmament. Do you really, honestly, and truly believe that the sun is 93 million miles away, and yet when you're on a mountaintop 2 miles up, the sun is exponentially hotter? So if you're 2 miles above sea level, the sun is much hotter on your skin, and yet it's 93 million miles away. Plus, the moon's 250,000 miles away, and it perfectly blots out the sun, and they're the same size. Do you know why? Because they are the same size. They're not very far away. I got video and pictures last night of the moon casting shadows all over the clouds. There was an enormous halo around the moon, just like we usually see around the sun. Because out west, California, they spray with no regard for who sees them and or whatever. The weather, I'm in Nevada right now, and it's pouring out. I was in California in the desert, and it was pouring out. The weather is all effed up. From Massachusetts to California, it's bad weather. I haven't had a day where I could even set up my solar panels whatsoever at all. People need to wake up, and they need to wake up quick. Anybody that can hear what I'm saying right now, anybody that's listening to this video, hit your knees and ask God to help you, to help me. Say the words that will actually resonate with the people that we're trying to reach. My parents, for instance, they won't wake up. I prayed today that somehow, and I get mad. I get mad that they're asleep, but I have to remember, they've got all their flu shots, they watch television, they do what they're told, they believe the news, they're under the strong delusion. Pray for them and pray for me. Pray that I can somehow say something, make a video that will make sense to them and allow them to wake up, or to at least begin waking up. Because from what I believe and what you guys probably believe, my parents aren't going to make it. They're going to end up in a bad place. When I say my parents, my stepmother and my father. My father's the most important thing, but my stepmother, I've known her for a long time. I don't want to see her end up in a lake of fire necessarily. And the person that I just went and visited in California kept telling me that we need to love our enemies. There's a verse from the Bible that sticks with me more than almost as much as there will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. And we live on a place right now where they're blocking out all three of those things. You think that's a coincidence? But the other Bible verse that really bothers me is, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. That scares me. Because I'm not the friendliest person at all. It's just my nature. 2 years ago, I made a video and I said in it, I had reached my 50,000th email, comment, or message from somebody saying that I helped bring them back to God, or I helped bring them to God. Well, it's been 2 years, and I'm going to have to guess that number has more than doubled. It amazes me that the things that I say and the way that I say them has allowed people to see through all the nonsense and find their way back to God, the Creator, Jesus Christ. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're listening and what I say matters to you, pray for me that I can change my heart and learn to love my enemy. Because at where I'm at right now, I'm having a really hard time doing that. At any rate, 𝗲𝗵𝗿𝗍 from Boston. Like, share, subscribe, or don't. I'm out.